So with the newest chapter of Attack on Titan just around the corner, I thought it would be a great idea to talk about Levi and respectfully Hanji, two characters that have been kind of thrown out of proportion over the past couple of months. A lot of us have severely forgotten what happened to these two and where they truly are and what they truly could be capable of. And with good reason. The past couple of months has been phenomenal for Attack on Titan and everything that's been going on. It's pretty hard to remember what happened to Levi and where he is now. Levi is an extremely scary character for a lot of good reasons. He's kind of the Arima of the story. He has a tremendous amount of power and the way he adapts to situations is out of this world. Going against so many Titans, and specifically Titan shifters, is almost too easy for him. So he poses a massive threat not only to Eren, not only to Zeke, but pretty much anyone within the story that wants to go up against him. However, we've never really seen him be put in a situation like the one that's currently building now. And this could really showcase a different side of Levi. Maybe a little bit more of a compassionate side, but definitely I think a more desperate side. This kind of gives a lot of context for the injuries that he has taken. Some pretty severe ones by the looks of it. He's obviously got a lot of scars on his body. He's lost a good portion of his hand, which was kind of completely blown off, and we don't even know about his internal organs. I think Isayama has done a great job in building that expectation for Levi to potentially be dead, but not actually give us that answer. I think a massive majority of people would be extremely disappointed if Levi was well and truly dead after what happened between him and Zeke. And he's been dead this entire time. I don't think that sits rather well, and I don't even think Isayama has written it that way. The way he has showcased these events unraveling the specific things that he has pointed out from Hanji, respectfully, is stuff that makes you question Levi being alive. Why would Hanji go through the efforts of hiding Levi and escaping with him if he was well and truly dead? Why would she lie and say that he's well and truly dead and not allow these other people that were working with Zeke to check his vital signs? Hanji knows, if anything, that Levi is one of the, if not the biggest power play within the entirety of the story. If anyone can stop anything that's happening at the moment, it's well and truly Levi. But then that brings up the question, because he is alive, how injured is he, and how much of a threat could he be to Eren and Zeke and anyone else realistically? Going back to what I said before, one of the biggest things that makes Levi extremely powerful and extremely vicious and scary is how he adapts to situations. And this situation itself is something like none other. It's completely new and it holds a lot of weight and impact for the entirety of the story, for its characters that surround it. This is where Levi thrives. It always depends on what side he is on and how far he is willing to go, but with so many lives on the line, so many situations on the line, the context of his injuries, we could be seeing a completely different side of Levi that we haven't seen before, a very desperate side. Cautious and potentially compassionate, but desperate to obliterate anyone in his path. It brings up the question if we're going to see a quote-unquote final round between Levi and Zeke, which I think would be a really great thing to see. But at the same time, as much as I would love to see that, I don't think it brings much of a conclusion for both Zeke and Levi entirely. If anything, I feel like Levi will be more so directed towards Eren, as Eren kind of takes the pivotal form of what he is now, being this destroyer. It would make a lot of sense for Levi to approach Eren in a similar fashion. If Zeke is just a bystander and Eren's really towering over everyone, pushing everything forward, I assume Levi would jump headfirst and we'd get a pretty intense battle between two monolithic characters, two very important characters. Do I think Levi will die by the end of the story? Probably not, to be completely honest. If anyone can kill Eren, or at least injure him heavily to such an extent, it would be Levi, in a very desperate manner to stop everything. Levi being pushed to his limits. And that's not to say that he has to do it on his own. There is an abundance of people there that could easily back up Levi. It's more so whether they want to or not. And I think this situation and the unknown surrounding it is what brings up a lot of that convoluted messages. Levi and Hanji have not seen what is happening at the moment, so the context for them is very situational. If they're not watching from a distance and they both just randomly rock up after they've kind of reset themselves and healed themselves to a certain degree, they're just going to see this massive titan that Eren has become and a massive threat to be taken out. Hanji is extremely intelligent, we can't downplay her. I don't know what she plans to do to potentially help Levi, but if it's anyone that can help him fight to his fullest extent, it would be her. Not to mention the rumbling that has been activated brings up the idea that Annie, of all people, could be broken out of her crystal, which brings up another hidden power. The context for her is not potentially there either. As she wakes up to all of this, does she immediately start to fight Eren? Or this one Titan specifically? Does she fight Zeke? All she sees and comprehends is the rumbling going on around her, with all this devastation and destruction. At the moment where we are within the story is so thrown up in the air, it could go in literally any direction. We don't know Eren's fate. We don't know Zeke's fate. We don't know any of these characters' fate, really. Anything is well and truly possible. How does Eren come out of this alive to potentially how does Eren meet his end? Is it thanks to Levi? Is it thanks to Hanji? A cooperation of those two with Annie? Maybe even other people? The biggest threats right now are the ones that don't have the context of the situation and understanding what's going on, which is those three. All they see is the onslaught of the rumbling happening. Who fights who here? Does Zeke come into the mix as well, trying to fight Eren? Are we gonna have this massive fight between Titans and Levi's just gonna come through and obliterate them both? Because of the story as it is now, there is so many questions, and the upcoming chapter builds a lot of expectation for it. It'd be very weird to jump fully away from what is going on at the moment to potentially where Levi is or seeing Annie, but I think we'll definitely get some sort of answers for these things. If Levi is going to play a pivotal role, if he's even able to with his injuries. But he is a scary opponent that is there. He is kind of a hidden weapon, and considering he's been out for quite a bit now, him coming back into the story in a pretty similar fashion, a pretty explosive fashion, should be very entertaining to witness, especially on top of that with Annie. I don't know how she will potentially react to this, or if she comes in swinging or anything along those lines, but we're definitely in the final stretch of the story, with the rumbling being activated and the devastation we're about to witness. It's only a matter of time before a lot of these characters that have been thrown up in the air for quite a bit of time come falling back into the mix, and how they impact and change the story potentially is what I'm very excited about. I think it's only a matter of time at this point. I think it's probably also good to mention that the context of the situation that we left off from, there is a war currently going on. If everyone remembers, even though it has been a couple of chapters and a couple of months, there is a lot of people within this entire area. A lot of civilians, a lot of casualties, but there's also Marley. There's people that still oppose Eren. There's Eren's own people, his own supporters. We have Armin and Mikasa realistically not all too far away. We have different Titan shifters all across the map. So Levi and Annie kind of joining this mix creates a completely different element, a power that realistically these people didn't have, that kind of overthrow the tide of battle just enough to potentially create some sort of cause and effect situation, potentially have an answer to stopping something of this nature. In saying this, however, the situation between Zeke and Eren takes kind of a primary focus. I would love to see Levi and even Annie in the mix of both of them. I think it would be a very interesting throwback to the beginning of the story, considering Annie was one of the first Titan shifters we ever met, and she may hold a lot of knowledge with this whole crystal thing. I think a lot of people have been really eager to see how Isayama plays on Annie, and if she plays some sort of relative importance, or if she's just been stuck on this crystal the entire time for no reason. With everything that's been going on as of recently, and the amount of symbolism and potential ideas that are going around with what Ymir Fritz was, surely Annie being in the crystal has a deeper meaning. Whether it's to tell Eren something, whether she connected with Ymir within that crystal, whether she's seen something herself, whether that crystal itself has somehow shaped and morphed her in some way, shape or form, potentially stopping her from aging as fast as she would, or being ill, or this or that, who knows. But the mystery surrounding Annie is interesting. You connect her with Levi, you put them in between Zeke and Eren, potentially about to have a pretty big fight off, if you will, with the rumbling happening, with all these Titans kind of just appearing out of the walls. Everything's kind of starting. Ragnarok, if you will, is starting, and everyone for the most part has to be hands on deck to try and stop these Titans that have come out of the walls, and to potentially stop both Zeke and Eren from destroying each other if we are leading down that path. So hopefully these two are connected to this entirety of a situation. I'd hate to see them miss it and not be included within it. I think that would be pretty silly, so fingers crossed. So with that being said, that is basically it. Let me know how you guys feel about Levi and even Annie. Do you think they're going to come back into the story? And if so, do you think they're going to have a pretty big impact on the current events? I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I'm actually going to end the video off here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.